Always give what you can, even if your allies draw lines in the sand. And dig, always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Baby, I am home in the wake of your skin. And it's crazy how we wear a ceremony. Always be open to your path and your journey. Yes, she cradles my lonely.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again for my vlog from inner city to inner peace. I'm your host, Tiara, and we're back with another episode. The previous couple of episodes, we just kind of touched on like some of the depths of the fears and things that I had to overcome in order to be able to start on my journey of finding spirituality. Now I kind of want to jump into the things that I've kind of learned along the journey, like some of the lessons that I like held on to that helped me kind of achieve abundance in my life, manifest things that I wanted in my life. And there's just some things that I had to address before actually fully being able to receive. Like I stated in the previous video, if you want to receive a experience of a higher frequency, you have to let go of the lower frequency experience that is taking its place. But in order to let go of that lower frequency experience from previous, you have to let it come to the surface. You have to address it. You have to face it. You have to understand why you went through that in the first place before you can release the energetic attachment to the experience and then allow yourself to receive. So it's a multi-step process to get to the place of actually like changing your energy, like altering it. So as the basis of it, but like in this series, I'm going to kind of break down a little more in detail in regards to the things that I have personally faced in order to actually create abundance in my life. And that's going to vary for every person. Every person has their own blockages. Everybody has their own history. Everybody has their own trauma to heal from the past. But from the healing that I've helped other people, like my clients with, a lot of us have some similarities. So hopefully in me being vulnerable and exposing my trauma and how I went about healing that, it can help you kind of with opening up your perception of how you may be able to let go of some of the things that you've been through, call forth a higher frequency experience for yourself, and then create abundance in your life. Now, when I say abundance, I don't just mean finances. I don't just mean money. When we think of abundance, a lot of people just go straight to the finances. Abundance can vary across multiple boards. You can ask for abundance in health. You can ask for abundance in happiness. You can ask for abundance in love within your life. So for me, I wanted abundance across the board. I wanted to be able to manifest anything that I needed at that time. But in order to do that, I had to go through the process of letting go anything that was blocking me from receiving on any level, from receiving support, from receiving finances, from receiving love into my life. I had to go down deep, address those blockages, and make friends with that dark part of myself before I was able to actually call in and let alone receive. So that's multiple steps there too. Like setting the intention, releasing, calling in, and receiving is a whole nother part of that. Like I'm learning right now that it's a little harder for me to receive that clearance than I thought it would be. In doing these videos, I've really been able to open myself up to areas that I have already established some work in, but I've been able to dig deeper by sitting here talking with you guys. And so this is a real give and take relationship for me, because in me expressing myself through these videos, in you guys wanting to hear more and wanting to relate and wanting to grow with me, I've been able to really release some deep stuff that I didn't know was still necessarily bothering me until after I do the video and I'm a little triggered. And so then I sit in meditation with the intention to release it and kind of sit in it a little more until I can. And so I want to thank you guys so much for being present and for calling this in. And then in the same token, thank myself for being vulnerable enough to provide that to you guys, in the hopes that it helps you heal as much as it's helping me heal. So thank you. Now, in the same token, that the information that I put out in these videos will actually attract individuals that need to hear it or that have suffered from the same type of traumas or can relate in some way, shape, or form. In that same manner, relationships mirror themselves in life like that. And so a lot of the times we get in the habit of having these unhealthy relationships and we're like, I just don't understand why I keep attracting this type of person. And truthfully, all relationships are a mirror to you. So even if like you're irritated by somebody, like truthfully, you need to take a moment and look within yourself and see if you exhibit those same characteristics, maybe in a different way, maybe on a different level. But most of the time when we have that irritation with somebody, or when we have a relationship, there's a deeper root purpose behind it. And so keeping in mind that the energy that we have within ourselves, or the energy that we put out there, is the energy that we attract. Now, granted, you have those situations where people of lower frequency or lower energy see somebody of higher energy and try to take advantage of that. And that's when you get into boundaries, and we'll get into that more. But I'm talking about if you're sitting in lower frequency emotions and thoughts and fears, you're attracting people that are of that lower frequency. The surrounding that you're in is in that lower frequency, and those are the people that you meet, the people that are in your surrounding. And so that's why you keep attracting those relationships that aren't necessarily complementary to you, or who you are in the truth of yourself, because who you are in the truth of yourself is not standing in the forefront. So utilize relationships that irritate you, or that are not so comfortable, or those hard relationships like with spouses, to be a signal for you to kind of check within yourself and see if there's any areas within yourself that you need to heal, in order to help you get to a better place within yourself, and then you can attract a different relationship. Now, just like we talked about abundance being on multiple levels, we have to also understand the relationships are on multiple levels. So I'm not just talking about a spouse. I'm talking about the energy within yourself reflecting out in relationships with your children, in relationship with coworkers, in relationships with partners of any kind, business partners, things like that. And granted, we don't have any control of anybody else's energy, but keep in mind that whenever you are in a partnership with somebody, you guys are sharing that space. So you kind of interchange energy at times. And so you want to make sure that everybody that you have in your life and everybody that you keep close to you is of the same frequency as you, in a sense. And now that kind of naturally happens, but as we heal ourselves and as we kind of come into awareness of ourselves and we raise up, sometimes we have to change our surroundings, and we have to change the relationships of the people around us. And that can be very hard, but it's necessary if those people are not growing with you, if those people are not elevating themselves as well, because it's easy for somebody in a lower frequency to try to pull you down into that frequency. And so if you don't have that concept of creating those healthy boundaries, then you can end up getting sucked back down to a lower frequency and kind of reverse some of the work that you've done. So we want to make sure to keep ourselves in those higher frequencies, attract those higher frequency relationships, and then therefore keep, just a higher frequency environment around us. And that's going to produce an environment to be able to manifest more into our lives, because we can't ask to be given something that we're not ready to receive, because you'll get it and then you won't be able to sustain it. You won't be able to keep it because you're actually not ready to receive it, because you haven't done the work to clear out the space, to actually bring it in for yourselves. So we want to make sure we do that work on the back end, not just to be able to create space to bring it in, but also to be able to create space to hold it in place, so we don't actually self-sabotage and end up reversing the blessings that we asked to receive. So once again, if there's relationships in your life that you're not really happy with, or that are unhealthy, especially during this time period of pandemic, if you're in a household or in a living situation, you kind of can't make moves right now, but you're realizing that you don't necessarily mesh with the individuals that you're around like you thought you did, this is when you want to take the time and focus on yourself. And when I say that, I mean pay attention to the way that you treat yourself. Pay attention to the way that you talk to yourself. Pay attention to the way that you love yourself, because you can only love another person as much as you love yourself. So if you don't have a strong grasp on self-love, it'll be very hard for you to be able to cultivate a relationship with somebody else that demonstrates that level of love, because you don't even know what it is. You don't even know how to necessarily demonstrate that. And so start with yourself. Start with, treating yourself every now and then, being gentle with yourself, speaking positivity into yourself. Words hold power. So even if it's as simple as like you are in the habit of looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm fat. Like, your body takes that negativity that you have for yourself literally. And then you won't change in your weight. You won't shift, because you have embedded into yourself that this is who you are. And so you have to speak positivity into yourself. You have to tell yourself that you're beautiful. You have to tell yourself that you are worthy of that love, and that you are a lovely individual, and that you are fine. Like, straight up, tell yourself you fine. Love on yourself. Like, because truthfully, you're not going to get somebody else to love on you if you're not demonstrating that to yourself. Like, you're not going to be able to call in that mirror type of relationship if you're not giving that to yourself. So just make sure that you take time to allow yourself to rest. Allow yourself to process. Forgive yourself for things that you may not have known. Like, forgive yourself for putting yourself through situations in the past that may have not been healthy. And then take the time to actually research how to be better, or the trial and error process of how to actually be better and healthier for yourself. And then give yourself credit. Like, show that appreciation that you want to yourself. Like, tell yourself that you're a damn good mom, even though you struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, be proud of what you can accomplish and what you have accomplished, and don't always look at what it is that you think you're lacking. That's a mindset of scarcity, and that prevents abundance from coming in. Like, any form of lack, or thinking that you don't have enough, or thinking that you're never going to get enough, or thinking that, like, money don't grow on trees, like that concept that most of us have heard. Even little stuff like that creates a negative boundary in your thought process to, oh, this can't come easily. And when you think like that, you literally stop it from being able to, because you've already drawn that conclusion. So make sure that you're giving into yourself and into your thoughts and into your spirit in positive ways, so that you can actually even receive the things that you're asking for without that blockage of the concept of that not being possible. Now, once you get a solid grasp on self-love intermingles with self-worth. Like, once you get to a place where you're like, I love myself and I'm pouring into myself and I don't necessarily need anybody else to, like, your standards of what you attract in your life change. How you hold yourself, in a sense, changes, because you're like, I don't have time for somebody who's not able to love me as much as I love myself, if not more, because I deserve that. And that's standing in that self-worth and claiming what it is that you deserve, and not settling for nothing less than. Like, so once you get to that place where you loving yourself, where you don't even need nobody else, that elevates your self-worth for yourself. And then you stop settling for less than what you deserve, or stop making excuses for other people not being their best. Like, don't nobody have time for that. Like, I'm in my 30s, and I think it's something about being in your 30s. But when I got to this place of having a kid and being in my 30s, I'm like, I don't have time for somebody who has the potential to be amazing, but they're not willing to put in the work necessary to elevate to their own highest potential. I don't have time to help somebody elevate. Like, I need somebody in my life who already knows their worth, and even if they're working on it, that's something that I don't have to do. But I know that this individual is not going to stop until, they reach a higher place within themselves, and then they're not dragging me down because I'm not having to stop my progression to help them elevate. Like, that's a sign of self-worth. That's a sign of self-love within itself. Like, that's my love language to myself. Like, not allowing the relationships that drain me to even exist. Like, setting those boundaries that, like, I decide how much time I give whoever in my life. I decide how much affection, how much love, how much energy I give to anybody or anything in my life, because I know that I only have so much energy to give any given day. So if that's the case, I know I got to take care of my kid. And right now I got to take care of my grandmother. And right now I got to take care of my business. And those are my main priorities, and taking care of my household. Those are my main priorities. Now, the allotment that I have left of that, I get to pick and choose who get that. Like, and if you're an individual that just is like wants to attach and just drain, I don't have time for that no more. Like, and so I'm in that place now after going through a self-love journey and pouring into myself, to where my worth, my time, my energy is too valuable to allow other people to just take. It has to be a give and take relationship. Like, if you don't have anything to replace what it is that I'm giving, like, this ain't gonna work, because I'm just being drained. And now I feel like I have a void because there's not a reciprocal relationship. Not anymore. Like, not happening. And that's pretty much my definition of self-worth. Like, being able to set those boundaries and not feeling any type of way about it. Like, because nobody else is gonna replenish you. If I'm drained and I have nothing left, who's going to take care of my kid? Like, that's just not going to work for me anymore. And once you can stand in that, ooh, it is powerful. Like, no more being nobody's doormat. No more being a people pleaser. No more people walking all over you. No, you like, this is my boundary. If you don't respect that, sorry, not sorry. So once you have actually like came to the understanding of who you are and standing in your self-worth, and you go through that process of kind of reflecting on past relationships so as to not duplicate the same thing all over again, then you're able to move forward and actually call in new relationships or higher frequency relationships into your life. So understand that you get taught the main lessons that you need in order to achieve whatever intention that you've kind of set for yourself. Spirit, the universe, will repeat these lessons for you. And what happens is, until you catch it, you're going to keep getting them. So with that being said, once you get the lesson, then you should go back and kind of see where that lesson was retaught. And it'll help you like forgive a chain of events versus just the current event that you're focusing on, because this lesson has been taught to you before. You just didn't get it. So the universe will teach it in different ways, through different individuals, through different situations, in order to get you to grasp that concept. So once you have an understanding of a lesson that you were taught, then deep dive and be like, okay, when in life was I not paying attention to this lesson being taught to me? And then forgive yourself and forgive that individual, because the universe, God, will use an individual in order to teach you. And so we hold animosity sometimes towards individuals in our life who've done us wrong, when truthfully they were sent as messages for us to kind of wake up. And so once we understand the core lesson, like, for example, I had a tendency of being stuck in situations that no longer served me. Like, they came into my life for a purpose, and when their time was done, I didn't have the discernment to know that this person was no longer right for me. And I say that lightly because I knew, but I wanted to hold on to the concept. I wanted it not to be the truth. I wanted more to come out of the situation than the situation was capable of providing. And because I didn't listen to that internal knowing that this wasn't right, and I kept holding on to it and I kept fighting for it, I kept myself in hardship unnecessarily, because I didn't learn the lesson of walking away from what doesn't serve me. So once I finally got that lesson, which, being completely honest, happened a couple months ago. Like, not even trying to like act like I'm perfect. I'm still learning to date. So once I got that concept of like walking away from someone who doesn't deserve my energy, I had to go back and be like, that's why that person was in my life, and that's why that person was draining the mess out of me, and that's why that person was using me. Like, the universe been trying to teach me this for umpteen years, and I've just been oblivious. Like, my mom even told me when I was younger, like, hey, like, these people that you think are your friends are using you. Like, be conscious. Like, and I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, woman. These are my peoples, and just went on with my business. Like, making excuses for them, making excuses for me, like trying to justify within myself why it was necessary to keep unhealthy people in my life and unhealthy relationships in my life. And then I got to a point where I was just tired. I was just tired of having so many unhealthy people around me. I was tired of being unhealthy myself. I was tired of having these rough relationships, like with everybody, not just spouses, but just rough relationships across the board. And I wanted to produce a different environment within myself. And when I realized that once I started loving myself, that I would create relationships that were on a new level of love, like the level of love that I had then built within myself, then it shifted. And then I met individuals that were on the healing journey like I was. Or I met individuals who were coming into awareness like I was. Or I met individuals that were grinding like I was. Like, and it produced a completely different, like, perception on relationships for me, which did a toll on my psyche. Like, it helped me open back up and, like, have faith in humanity again, and have faith in, like, other females. Like, growing up, I had, like, detached from creating new female relationships, like, just friendships. Like, nah, all females be hating, or all females be full of drama, or, like, I had, like, these conclusions, like, that I had already built that prevented any, like, relationships from coming in. Because, like, even when I would meet somebody new, I wasn't interested in building a relationship with them. Like, because I had this conclusion that I don't have time to figure out if you are full of drama or not. Like, I'd rather keep my peace to myself. And after I went through my self-love journey, it's like I just got introduced to people that were, like, in that same space. Like we just attracted to each other naturally. Like, it wasn't anything that I had to put effort into. And then, not to mention that discernment that I built within myself, like, I was able to know immediately if this individual, like, speaks and acts and exists from a pure space within themselves, or if they're putting on a show or putting on a front. And then I can determine how much energy, like I said, boundaries, and determine how much energy I can give to any given person. My first main hurdle to conquer in my self-love journey was learning how to say no. I know that sounds simple, but I was a yes woman. I was a people pleaser. And it was like, oh, if I got it, sure, why not? Like if I can help you, I sure will. Like, I have no problem with that. Like, and even when I didn't feel like doing stuff, like a friend would call at like 3 o'clock in the morning because they were stranded on the side of the highway. I didn't feel like getting out of bed, but absolutely, I got up. Or somebody would want me to run them to the store. I didn't feel like going nowhere, but I didn't say no. Like, and those are little examples, but that applies to a bigger picture of just not honoring the way that I actually feel, and not voicing that, not feeling strong enough in who I am to even voice that I don't feel like doing something. Like, I don't want to do something. I don't feel comfortable with this. It even went that far. Like, I would not express anything that may possibly make somebody else uncomfortable. And I would just be uncomfortable within myself. And so my first hurdle in that self-love journey was expressing my truth, regardless of how it made somebody else feel. And that included learning to say, nah, sorry, not sorry. Like, getting to a place where it's like, somebody hit me up and be like, hey, I'm hurting right now. Like, you think I can borrow some money? I'm sorry, I'm hurting too. Like, whereas the previous me would have hurt myself to help them. And most of the time, individuals don't have that same respect for you in that manner. Don't have that same loyalty to where you can call them and be like, hey, I'm hurting. Like, they're quick to be like, I ain't got it. But if they call you and you say you ain't got it, the fear is that they will no longer want to have a relationship with you. They will no longer want to be friends with you. They would no longer want to hang out with you. And I think that stemmed all the way back from like childhood, where I wanted to fit in. I wanted to have a group of friends within the city that, you know, I could grow up with and grow into adulthood with, and, you know, have that type of relationship. And I never found that. I was always trying to find that, but it always meant conforming to what everybody else did, or how everybody else thought, or the music that everybody else listened to. And when I was younger, I had no problem standing in who I was. Like, no, I listen to alternative music. Like, I don't smoke weed, like, at the time. And so, like that put me on the outskirts, and I always wanted to find my tribe. And so as I got older, when I started actually building relationships with people, I didn't want to do anything that would prevent that relationship from actually occurring, or to prevent that relationship from actually existing and continuing. So I just thought, like, let me just be whatever this individual needs in order for me to continue to have this source of love or affection or friendship or whatever, depending on the relationship, depending on the intention I was trying to get out of the relationship, even if it hurt me. And so getting into that place of self-worth and self-love, like, I'm not hurting myself to please anybody else. Like, I got me. Like, and the people that I have in my life are people that actually contribute to themselves so that I don't have to. And also are individuals that I could call if I need it, which is going to be few and far in between, because I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of me. But if I needed that support, the individuals that I now have in my life, they're going to help me because they know that I'm not needy. They know that I'm not using. They know that I'm really in need of help if I call out for help. And those are the type of relationships that are healthy. Those are the type of relationships that I deserve, like, because that's the type of relationship that I give to other people. And so I treat other people how I want to be treated, but I needed to demand that from other people by standing in what I feel and by loving myself enough to set those boundaries towards other people. So this is just a reminder. You matter. The way you feel matters. The emotions you have matter. The perception that you have on any given situation matters. Your truth matters. And if it doesn't matter to anybody else, it should matter to you. Like, and then you demand that the people who are around you, that it matters to them. And if it doesn't, they don't deserve to be in your energy. Like, you have to stand in what it is that you're willing to allow in your life. Like, you are the king or queen of your domain. What you say goes. So if this individual can't respect you, you have the right and the free will and the ability to walk away from that individual. So I really want everybody to tap into their own self-worth and demand more for yourself. Demand the best for yourself. Demand nothing less than what you would be willing to give to yourself from the other people around you, regardless of their title, regardless of the relationship. And if they can't stand up to that, be strong enough in your self-will and your self-worth to walk away. Because we only have this one lifetime in this body, in this consciousness. Like, yes, I believe in multiple lifetimes, but I don't know if I am going to go into the next lifetime with the understanding that I have now, or if I have to go back through the process of deep diving in order to kind of find that and pull that and bring that back up. So I'm living this lifetime like this is it. This is all I got. And I don't have time for individuals that take from that. Like, if you're adding value, great. We can move, we can rock, we can roll, we can hang out. If you're taking and you're draining and you're causing more pain than progression, nah, I'm too worthy. Nah. So the way that you free yourself from these unhealthy relationships is by standing in your truth, by speaking your truth, by being real with yourself on what your truth is, for you to even be able to express that. And accept that if your truth offends somebody else, that's not your burden. Truthfully, like I stated in the beginning of this episode, we have mirror relationships. We're brought into each other's lives to teach each other something, to learn from each other. So if you speaking your truth from a heart space, not like you being cruel and you wanting to tear somebody down, but you're saying true statements, that's completely different. But if you're speaking from a heart space, you're expressing the way that you feel, or you're communicating what you want from the other individual in order to create a healthier environment, or you're communicating how you feel about what they're going through, looking from the inside out, from a loving space, just wanting them to be better. How they receive that is their lesson. So they have the option then to take that seed from the conversation that you plant in them, and they have the option to water it. They have the option to plant it within themselves. They have the option to cater to it, pay attention to it, dig up stuff that's in the way of that being able to grow within them. That's their burden. So once you speak from the heart, let it go. And then just hold on to the faith that you planting a seed is enough to help them in growth in some way, shape, or form at any point in time in their life. Like I said, my mom told me when I was younger that some of my friends were not the greatest for me. And I didn't hear her then. Later on in life, in my 20s, when I'm not even staying in the same state with her, I had a situation to where I hear my mom's voice in the back of my head after I fell out with the individual that was like, not everybody who you're loyal to is loyal to you. And I just heard that statement in the moment, and I was like, you know what? You're right, mama. I ain't gonna call you and tell you that you're right, but you're right. And then I was able to actually sit in that truth that I wasn't ready to receive at the time, but then use it later on in life. So never discredit the power of planting a seed. If it's on your heart to say, the universe may be utilizing you to help that individual. Like, don't get their blessing by thinking that you're going to offend them. Like, let your truth be told. Like, this may be spirit speaking through you. And most of the time when we're speaking to other people, like when spirit is speaking through us in order to give a message to others, we need to be reminded of it ourselves. Or sometimes we're even getting it for the first time ourselves. So just pay attention to some of those things. Because like I said, those relationships mirror. So pay attention and look into your own mirror at the same time. Because it is very much so possible to go through healing while you help other people heal. Like I'm doing in this video series. Each time I get done with an episode, I have to sit in meditation and release some stuff that I didn't know was still bothering me, because I'm still healing, even though I have set the intention to help others heal. So once you know your worth, you won't settle for less than. Like once you stand in the truth of who you are, what you deserve, and fully own your worth, there's no way you're going to settle for anything less. No matter how long it takes to achieve that goal, you're just going to keep moving forward, because you know once you set an intention that you will be doing yourself an injustice to settle for anything less than what you've asked for. And like I've said before, even if you set an intention for a healthier spousal relationship, until you get to that place of creating that healthier relationship or meeting that individual who's in a healthier space, you're going to have the opportunity to actually learn. You're going to have the opportunity to actually do some healing for yourself, so that you're in the type of energy that will attract an individual who has also done that work, who is also in that higher space for you to be able to cultivate a healthier relationship. So be patient with yourself and don't like settle just because like you're lonely or you want it and it's not happening fast enough for you. Pay attention to the lessons around you, because the sooner you implement in the lessons and the sooner you release those lower frequency ideas and emotions and past situations, you'll create the environment within your being in order to attract what it is that you're asking for. But be patient with yourself. Like this does not happen overnight, for sure. So the next episode, we'll kind of expand on this concept a little bit. We'll kind of get more into how like unacknowledged trauma from your past can lead to unhealthy behavioral patterns. And so we'll kind of dig a little bit more into this the next episode. And like always, at the end of this episode, stay tuned for my next musical suggestion. And let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Through a lot of shit that's in my head now. A lot of shit that had me scared now. Don't you leave me here for dead now. And oh God, she got some reason to wear her head down. Pray all her odds be even, cause it get hard. And she